another topic, and this is on leisure and recreation. So we all know what leisure is, right? The free time that we get is leisure, and recreation is what we do to entertain ourselves, to have fun in our free time. That is recreation. So this whole work, the diagrams and everything that we will be seeing are based on leisure and recreation. So the writing part here, what we will see in this unit is that we will select and compare key features of charts, graphs, and tables. So in the previous unit, we uh, first saw the key features of different types of graphs and diagrams and charts, and then we learned how to put them into sentences, how we can describe those. Then we learned more adjectives, verbs, and adverbs that should be used when we are describing the diagram, right? And then at the end, we used all of the things that we learned from the lesson and we put it into an answer, right? So we will further work with these diagrams more now, and where we will also see the structure and answer which compares information from charts, graphs, and labels. So we will structure the answers where we will be comparing information from charts, graphs, and tables. And lastly, we will revise the form and use of comparatives. So we have comparative form, superlative form, right? When we're
Yeah.
comparing, we use more than, we use most. So we will also see the use of comparative and superlative forms in this lesson. So let's move on to the first activity here where we have to discuss questions that are given here. This is just a warm-up session for the lesson that we're about to start. For here, so here we have question number one, which asks you, have you ever watched the Olympic Games either live or on television? If so, which sports do you enjoy watching the most?
Normally, I'm not that into sports or games, though
Right.
sometimes I watch Olympic Games. I remember one time I watched Olympic Games on live, and maybe um the sport was football.
Okay. So did you enjoy watching that?
Yes, I enjoyed it.
Okay, great. That was great then. And do you prefer the Winter or Summer Olympics? Give reasons for your answer.
Maybe winter is the best time to watch Olympics because it has more cozy and comfortable time to watch it. Because in summer we could be more exhausted and we would be tired. So in winter it's more chill and simple. That's why
Right.
I would prefer Winter Olympics.
Well, that's a good answer from your side, considering that you're answering based on the season and whether you'll enjoy watching it in the season or not. But as far as I know, although I myself do not follow Olympic Games much, so I have very minimum idea of Olympics as well. But as far as I know, Winter and Summer Olympics actually have different groups of games involved. So that is why maybe they're asking which one you prefer because of the set of games that are played in each of those type of Olympics. That is why maybe they're asking. It's
Oh,
okay, no
I
problem. It's okay, it's okay, happens because even you are not actively involved in watching the Olympic Games, so this is fine. If I were in your place, I would have maybe answered in the same way because I don't have much idea about it either. Okay,
yeah.
no problem. Let's move to our main lesson today. That starts from the second activity where we have to study the chart and graph that is given here, and then we have to answer the questions given below. So look at the chart and the graph given, the bar chart and the line graph given. Look at the segments and features and details, and then we will be answering the questions. So there are two diagrams given. The chart is about Winter Olympics and the line graph is about Summer Olympics. So they have some common features and then there are some different features among them. So pay attention to those and see the questions that are given here as well.
Yes, I can answer now.
Okay. So for the first question, it asks you which countries or former countries were successful in both Winter and Summer Olympics. So you have to look
USA,
at, yes,
yeah.
good.
USA, where the country USA was successful in both the Winter and Summer Olympics.
Only USA?
Yes.
No other countries? Do you not do you see any other common countries between the two charts?
USSR.
Yes, and there's another one as well. That's Germany.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So
Yes.
these three countries, the USA, the USSR, and Germany, these three countries were successful in both Winter and Summer Olympics. How do we know that? We know that because all three of these um, countries are included in both of the um, graphs and charts, both of the diagrams, where it actually tells us that which countries are the highest ranking medal winners of all time. Because these three countries are common in both of the diagrams, it means that all three of them were successful in both Summer and Winter Olympics. Okay?
Okay.
And USSR, you know the abbreviation of USSR, right? Union of
Uh,
Soviet Socialist Republic. So this is actually another name for Russia.
okay. Yeah, I
Oh,
know I just didn't know the full name. I just knew that it was Russia.
Russia, yes. So it is Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. Keep it in mind. You might need it anytime. Okay, now number two. Which country won the most gold medals in the Winter Olympics? Very easy.
Um, Norway won the most gold medals in the Winter Olympics.
Excellent. Very good. Number three. Which country won the fewest medals in the Summer Olympics?
France won the fewest medals in the Summer Olympics.
Excellent. Very good. So this was just the beginning lesson where we had to, this lesson just determined whether you can read the charts and graphs properly or not. So that is what was determined here, and you did great. Well done. So moving on to our third and fourth lesson. Here we have a sample answer again, yet again another sample answer, but here this sample answer is not in order. There are four paragraphs given. You have to read through the sample answer and you have to find out which paragraphs should come first, second, third, and fourth. So sorry, not diagram, which paragraph should be labeled as the introduction, as the main body, and as the summary or conclusion. So, as you know, whenever we write a paragraph or a passage, not a paragraph actually, but a passage, an essay about any topic, we have three main parts of it, right? So, the first paragraph should be the introduction, and then we should be writing the main body paragraph, the main body where we have most of the information given. And lastly, we have the summary or the conclusion paragraph. And here, the main body paragraph can be of two paragraphs or three paragraphs or even more. It actually, you should keep it till three paragraphs, not more than that. So in the beginning and at the end, the two brackets should be the introduction and the conclusion, right? And in the
Yes.
middle, the paragraphs that are there, they should be the main body paragraphs. So according to this format, you have to read the sample answer and you have to figure out which paragraph is the introduction, which one is the main body, and which one is the introduction, summary or conclusion. So go through it and tell me which one is which.
I'm done.
Okay. Give me the answers, please.
So one is introduction,
Mhm.
and two is conclusion or summary, and three is main body,
Okay.
and four is conclusion.
So there are two conclusions.
Mm, maybe the second one is summary only, and the fourth one is conclusion.
Okay. So see, here, the confusion here is because of the first words, right? In the
Yes.
second paragraph that is given here, we have overall, and in the last paragraph as well, we have to summarize. So both of these paragraphs seem to be the conclusion. That is why you are getting confused. But it is actually the correct format given here. The first one is the introduction, two and three are the main body, and four is the summary or the conclusion. Why? Because when we are talking, because here we are talking about two diagrams, chart and graph. That is why in the first part, in the introduction of bar chart is given, and then it is concluding the uh, topic of bar chart by starting the second paragraph with overall. And then we are moving to this third paragraph where we're talking about maybe the other diagram, right? That is the graph. The result of Summer Olympics are quite different, however, because the graph represents Summer Olympic. In the third paragraph, we're also describing the graph's main datas. We're not giving any separate introduction for the graph. Instead, we're saying the main data and main information that should be given in here. And that is why the second and the third paragraphs are the main body part because all of these two paragraphs have the main information that should be given in each of the answers. And lastly, to summarize, when we are summarizing this, we are including both the chart and the graph together because we are concluding the whole sample answer altogether. Got it?
Okay,
Is
yes, I
it
got it.
clear?
Yes, it's
Because
clear.
this is a bit different because we're talking about two different diagrams in one answer, right? So that is what our today's one of the lessons is that we will be working with two diagrams in all in one question. In the previous lesson, we just, in your exam skill that you just submitted to me, you just had one diagram that had two topics, right? Just a
Yes.
bar chart that had homeowners and renters. So that included just one diagram. But here we will be working with two diagrams simultaneously. Okay,
Okay.
so now moving on to the questions in activity 5, answer these questions which deal with some minor differences between discussing one graph and comparing two or more graphs. So in this question, you will see that you have to give some answers regarding the minor differences that we find when we are discussing only one graph and when we are comparing two or more graphs. Okay, so here in the site, there is a small note that says the sample answer describes a graph and a chart as you may be asked to do in the writing test. Although this may look difficult, the structure is similar to describing just one graph. Because see, I'll explain it again. Once I just said that because we are describing two different graphs here, that is why the format is might seem a bit confusing because first we're giving an introduction about the bar chart and then we are concluding with the not concluding like literally, but we are trying to give all the information about the bar chart in the second paragraph and not continue anymore about it, right? And then in the third paragraph, we're moving to the other diagram that is being given here. So that is why it is a bit different from the description of just one diagram. What do we do when we're describing one diagram? We're just giving the introduction of that diagram, and then we're in the second body part, where main body, we are giving the data that should be given from the diagram, and we have to take the data from there and we have to put it in the paragraph. And lastly, we're just summarizing everything with starting with overall or starting with to conclude with, and then we can start it with to summarize. So in that way. But when we're just describing two, we're including another diagram's details as well, right? So
Yes.
that is the difference between these two. Now, there are some questions given which we need to answer. So let's see the first one. Did the writer introduce both graphs in the introduction?
No, the writer only introduced the bar chart in the introduction.
Are you sure?
Yes. Oh,
Did you
no, yeah.
read?
Yeah. The writer introduced both the graphs in the introduction.
Right, exactly. Yes, the writer introduced both the graphs, but he put the bar chart first because he actually wanted to describe the bar chart at in the beginning of the main body part. Okay, so both the graphs and diagrams are described in the introduction, but in very short. He did not make it lengthy. So yes, the writer introduced both graphs in the introduction. Okay, good. Good that you found out that you made a mistake. Very good. Okay, number two, did the writer discuss the details of both graphs in the same paragraph or separate paragraphs?
The writer discussed the details of the both graphs in separate paragraphs.
Excellent, very good. Number three, did the summary include both the bar chart and the graph or just one?
The summary included both the bar chart and the graph.
Very good, yes. So well done. Moving on to six. Here we have some gaps and we have to complete these with main body, summary, and introduction. So we have to put in these three phrases and words according to what the sentences are saying. Okay. So before that, let's look at the tip. Tip number six is given here. Sentences should be simple and easy to understand, not long and complicated. This is very important. Many students, what they do, they think that if I make the sentence a bit complex and if I prolong it a bit, maybe the whoever is checking will give me more marks, seeing that I have a long sentence and there are many words. But that is actually wrong. When you have very long and complex sentences, the person who's checking, the teacher, he or she gets very irritated and gives negative marks. So it is better, especially for this writing task, when you are describing something, it is better to keep it as short as possible, just how much is needed to give the details and describing the data that you're trying to represent. Okay, so
Oh,
let's look into the first sentence that is given here. The dash should state what the graph is about. Do not copy the wording of the question. You should paraphrase the question using synonyms, for example, illustrates or shows. Number two, the dash should discuss the general trends in graph supported by relevant data, for example, dates or numbers. Identify the most important features. Do not try to include everything. And the third sentence says the dash should provide an overview of the key points made in the main body. Do not include new information or your own opinion. These are actually some instructions that you should actually look into after you are completing the gaps. So complete the gaps and give me the answers.
one is introduction, two
Good.
is main body, and three is summary.
Very good. Yes, you're very correct. So for number one, read the whole sentence with the filled in gap.
The introduction should state what the graph is about. Do not copy the wording of the question. You should paraphrase the question using synonyms like illustrates or shows.
Right.
The The main body should discuss the general trends in the graph, supported by relevant data, for example, dates or numbers. Identify the most important features. Do not try to include everything. The
Very good.
summary should provide an overview of the key points made in the main body. Do not include new information or your own opinion.
Very good. So yes. So see, for the introduction part, they are saying do not copy the wording of the question. So what is the question? The question here actually says about the diagram that you're having. Either that could be a chart or it could be a graph. So do not, whenever you are writing what the graph represents in the horizontal axis or in the vertical axis, do not copy the exact words that are written there. Try to paraphrase it, try to change the words, try to use similar meaning words or same meaning words or synonyms, and then write in your paragraph. Okay. Then is number two, for the main body, it says that we should discuss the general trends in the graph supported by relevant data. So see, the data that actually should be included in the paragraph from the diagrams should be included in the main body. So there is all the information that should be given and it should be in the main body. Lastly, in the summary or the conclusion, we have to give an overview of the key points made in the body. So everything, every data, every relevant data that we presented, we just need to give an overview or a complete summary of whatever data we found out, and we should not include any information or any new information from our side, or we should also not include any personal opinions, like I said before. This is very important. Always keep this in mind because the way we are used to writing is whenever we're writing an essay about any topic, right? We have our own ideas and we write just what comes in our mind. So that might be also the case when you're writing about this task. So try to avoid that. Keep in mind that this is a very danger zone for personal opinions. Okay?
Okay.
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 Now, for number seven, study these two charts at first. Look at those, the two of the charts. One is a bar chart, the other one is a pie chart. And then we will read the sample answer describing the two charts. Or you can do it together. You look at the charts and start reading the sample answer.
So the sample answer is in wrong order, right? I have to
Yes,
organize it.
exactly. You have to organize it according to the perfect order. So that is given in activity 9. Oh no, that is later. So read and order the sample answer describing the two charts. So just read through it and give me the correct order of the paragraphs.
So C is the first paragraph, the
Very
introduction
good.
part.
Very good.
Then A should be the second paragraph, which is the main body.
Good.
Then D is the third paragraph, which is another main body.
Very good.
And B is the last paragraph, which is the summary.
Excellent. Well done. So how did you find that out? Because
Uh,
give me the reasoning.
so I found out that the C is the introduction part because it gave us the what the graph is about, and
Right.
then I found out the main bodies by looking at the specific data or the data or information.
Mm-hmm.
And for the summary paragraph, I saw that there was a summary given for both the charts and like the overall trends about them.
Very good. Excellent. That is how you should actually assess the whole sample answer and write accordingly. Very good. Okay, now moving on to another part that is grammar focus. Here we will be looking into the comparatives, how we can compare the two diagrams and which words should we use to put more emphasis on some of the words that we use while describing the graphs and diagrams. Okay, so read the sentence from the sample answer and underline the comparative form. So the sentence is, looking at the bar chart, it is easily apparent that China has been significantly more successful than any other country in badminton. So in this sentence, there is a comparative form. Do tell me which which part of this whole sentence has the comparative form?
More successful
More successful than. So this is very
than.
good. This is the whole uh, part where we are that they are showing the comparative form. So they're comparing the success rate, and they are also um, emphasizing on the success rate by adding another adverb to it, that is significantly. So significantly more successful than. So significantly is emphasizing the level of success that China has come across. Okay, so let's see the note that is given here. Comparative forms are often needed when comparing data, either one graph or two. So it's important to become more familiar with their structure. So see, when you did the exam skill for Unit 1, there was one diagram that is just one chart, but there were two types of informations, right? And you had to compare the homeowners and the renters. So when even if there is one graph, sometimes you might have to use the comparative form to compare the different data that is provided. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So for number 10, underline the comparative forms in the sample answer. So here in this whole sample answer, just ignore the ones that are underlined here. Not all of them are the correct answer for this. So what you have to do is you have to find the comparative forms, okay? There are types of forms. One is comparative, the other one is superlative, right? Which word do we use for
Yeah.
comparative?
More.
Right. And for superlative?
Most.
Very good. So you have to, whenever they're asking for comparative form, you have to keep in mind that you have to look for the word more or than so that you can understand that they are being compared. But if you see that it uses most, you have to understand that this is the superlative form, right? So look through the sample answer and find out the comparative forms that are used in the whole passage.
So the comparative forms are more successful than, more gold medals than,
Right?
and last, more successful than.
Yes, more successful than, and then more gold medals than other countries. More gold.
Um, uh, can should I tell the sentence so that you can find them?
Uh, you can. Yes, you can. You can go on.
So the first sentence, looking at
Is
the
this
bar chart,
right?
it is, yeah, yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Then
And then,
the second sentence, they have achieved far more gold medals than other countries.
yes, good. This one. Oops, I should change
And
the color.
in the last paragraph, the
Hmm.
second sentence, they were a little more successful than Great Britain.
Okay, this one. But
Yes.
you say that there are no other um, forms of comparative forms other than these three.
Like in the first paragraph, there is slightly more silver and bronze medals, but
Right.
there is no then, so I was
No
confused. Like,
problem. No, listen, don't get confused in this. Whenever you're seeing that there is no then, yet there is more, that means that there is a comparison. Even if there
okay,
is the then is missing, still there is more. So there is a comparison yet because see, they have achieved far more gold medals than other countries, but have gained only slightly more silver and bronze medals. So more gold medals is one, then more silver and bronze medals is also another one. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. And the other one you said a little more successful than Great Britain. Yes, very good. This is also correct. There is another one that does not have more. It even doesn't have then, but here we are still comparing. Okay, I'll give you the answer. That is the same number of medals each. Right. The other three countries represented won roughly the same number of medals each. So because they're using each, it means that they are talking about the three countries and they're comparing the three countries and they're saying that there is no difference, but they got the same number of medals each. Because there are no differences among them, that is why more is not used. That is why than is not used. Understood, but there is still a comparison going on in here. Clear?
Okay, yes, I'm clear.
Okay, great. Now let's move on to our next activity, that is activity 11. Here we have some blanks in some sentences, that is, 8 sentences are given here, and we have some words given here as well in the box. What we have to do is we have to complete the sentences with the correct comparative form of an adjective or adverb. So all these words here are adjectives or adverbs given. So what we have to do is we have to use their comparative forms in each of the blanks, and we have to find out which word fits appropriately, and then we have to use its comparative form. Okay, is it clear for you?
Okay. Yes, it's
Okay,
clear.
go on, try.
I'm done.
Great. So give me the answer, read the whole sentence and give me the answer.
Okay. So number one, in the triathlon, he swam much slower than he cycled.
Much slower. Hmm. Much slower is not necessary because you are comparing here. You can just write slower or you can write more slowly. So much slower is also correct. Oh, much is already given. I'm so sorry. Yes, you're correct. Much slower. Yes, very sorry. In the triathlon, he swam much slower than he cycled. Very good. Very sorry.
Okay.
Go on, number two.
In the sky jumping event, the participants were required to go much farther than ever before.
Very good. Number three.
Generally, countries with a colder climate are more successful in the Winter Olympics.
Excellent. Number four.
Spectators found this ice hockey game more interesting than the last one.
Very good. Number five.
He ran well, better than last year.
Excellent. Number six.
Before the games, she practiced more often than her teammates.
Very good. Number seven.
The oldest recorded male medalist was 72 years old, making him 62 years older than the youngest ever medalist.
Excellent. Number eight.
He accepted defeat with grace, more gracefully than the rest of his team.
Well done. Very good, Tasmia. That was great. You did very well. So you had all the correct answers here. Well done. Now let's see the tip that is given here. Okay, before that, let's look at number 12. The sample answer includes the sentence China has been significantly more successful than any other country in badminton. What other modifiers are used in the answer? So do you know what modifiers are?
Yes, can you give me just 2 minutes?
Yeah, sure, sure, sure.
I'm sorry, someone came. I was alone in the house, so I had to
Oh,
pick up.
okay, no problem. Okay, no problem. It's okay, dear. Okay, so do you know what modifiers are?
Um, very or something like that. Some words like that.
Right, exactly. So modifiers are words, especially the ones that actually give us the qualification or they quantify some other words that come after them. If I can be more clear, let's read the note. I think that will be a bit more clearer for you. In this sentence, from the sample answer, the word significantly is used to modify the comparative. In other words, to say how big or small the comparison is, here the word significantly is called a modifier. So see, to actually um, show or explain what each of the what level of comparison is going on here, whether it is big or small, we include some new words so that the comparative forms are modified in a way or are described in a more detailed way. So the words that we use to do that are called modifiers. Is it clear now?
Yes.
Like something is very, very hot, so it is hot, but it is extremely hot. So see here we're using extremely before the adjective hot. So why are we using it? We are using it to show how hot is it? Is it very, too hot? Is it um, extremely hot? I mean, is it very hot or is it less hot? Is it more hot or is it less hot? So to explain that, we're using another word that is being called the modifier. Okay. So,
Oh,
what other modifiers are used in the answer that is given above? Please find those out. Let's start with the first paragraph. Significantly is one that is already given here in the question. What are the other ones?
it is easily apparent. So easily is a
Very
modifier.
good. Yes, definitely. Easily apparent. So, easily is a modifier. Very good. This. And
And
then
then gained only slightly more silver and browns.
slightly
Slightly.
more. Very good. Slightly more. The slightly is the modifier and more is the comparative form. Very good. There's another one before this.
Far more.
Very good. Yes. Far more. So the far is the modifier here. Very good. Next.
Um, greatest number of medals.
No.
Greatest,
No, no, no.
most successful.
That is superlative. We're talking
Yeah.
about modifiers used for comparative forms. Come to the last paragraph, that is D.
Okay. Were a little more successful.
Yes, very good. Little more. So little is the modifier here. Very good. The last one, there is one more.
Um, roughly.
Very good. Roughly the same. Very good. Excellent. So this is the last one. So the five modifiers are easily apparent, far more. So modifier is easily, Here the modifier is far, here the modifier is slightly, here it is little, and here is roughly. Very good. Excellent work. Now, moving on to our last activity for today, second last actually. So let's look at this. In number 13, we have two diagrams again. One is a table and the other one is a graph. And then we have some questions regarding this. So first look at the diagram. Here, the table represents the top medal winners of all time athletes, the top medal winner athletes, and who are the winners of all time. That is what this table is representing. We have four columns. One is for athletes, the other represents country, and then there are sports, and then we have the total number of medal winners. So the athletes are Michael Phelps, Larissa Latinina, very, very tough name. And then we have Nikolai Adrianov. We have Ol Einar. Okay, let's not say that word. I'm not sure how this is pronounced. Last is Boris Shaklin. So they represent five different countries. No, actually three different countries. Three are already from USSR, and they represent three different sports, and the total number of medals are also given. Same goes for the line chart. Here we also can see that this line chart shows us the medals won in all Olympics, the number of medals, and the horizontal axis is given represents the countries, and on the vertical axis we have the total number of medals given. So we can see which country won how many medals in all. So the difference between the two diagrams is that the table, what is the difference between the two diagrams? What does the table show and what does the line graph not show?
The table shows the medal winners
Hmm,
of all time, like the winners, the specific names of the winners of those countries.
very good. Yes.
And in the line graph, we can only know about the total number of medals won by each country.
Excellent. Very good. Yes, you're very correct. So that is the difference between these two, and I hope you understood that what these table and chart graph are actually representing. Now, the question that is given here is that which of this information would you include in your answer? So we have five informations given. From here, which of the informations provided should be included in your answer. Answer means that the paragraph that you will be writing about the diagrams. Which of the information should you include? Actually, which should be acceptable to be written in the answer, and which should not be. So let's read
So
the
can I,
sentences. Yes, go
okay,
on. Go on,
like,
go on,
can
go
I
on.
choose more than one
Yes,
sentences?
yes, yes, definitely, definitely, definitely.
Okay.
So the first sentence says the most successful athlete is Michael Phelps from the USA, who has won the most medals for swimming. Number two, the chart also shows that three of the top five athletes were gymnasts from the USSR. Number three, Michael Phelps won 22 medals, Larissa 18, Nikolai 15, Ole 13, and Boris Shaklin 13. Number four, the sports which the athletes achieved medals in were swimming, gymnastic, and biathlon. And number five is in summary, the both charts illustrate that the two most successful countries in the Olympics were USA and the USSR. So which information would you include in your answer?
The statement number one, two, and five.
Okay, and why?
Because they are more straightforward statements and more to the point, and
Right.
and
And why not two and four? I mean three and four?
because some time ago we read that we should not include every information in the main body. So in
Right.
statement 3, there is a lot of information which are not which are not required, we can just compare them, or we can just indirectly say that they have and like we can tell this in comparative form.
Form, right.
And four- and the four also like didn't seem that much important to me.
Exactly. So very good, good answer, good choice, and the correct choice actually. One, two, and five should actually be included in the answer because the most important part of writing a paragraph or an answer based on the diagram is that whatever data you are seeing, whatever information you are seeing in the diagram, you have to write it on your own. You have to paraphrase it, you have to interpret it by yourself, and then you have to write it. You have to form it in such a sentence that it shows that you are giving the information to them looking at the diagram. But for three and four, it seems that you are directly taking the information from the diagram and just putting it in the answer and not interpreting it. You are not,
Yes.
like you said, you're not comparing, you're not giving it as an information to them. You're just pointing out that yes, I found this is given here. So
Yes.
very good. You got the correct point. Well done. So this was the last part. And lastly, there is another question that is in number 14. Let's look at the tip 13, 14. Try to group information, important information together. So see, you have to actually, it is better to do this, that you should take at least one or two information. Like for number one, the most successful athlete is Michael Phelps, so you're taking the name of the athlete here, and then you are taking the country that he represents, and as well as you're also saying that in a comparative form that he got the most medals for the sport. So you're including many information together. So that is how you should actually represent the data that is given in each of the diagram. Okay, so last thing in number 14, now study the line graph again and write three statements similar to those in exercise 13. So we have three statements that you took from here, that is 1, 2, and 5. For the line graph now, you write down three similar statements. I'll move to the line graph. You look at it because these information were all about the table. These were taken from the table, right? Now you look at the line graph and give me three sentences that are familiar or similar to the ones that you just chose.
Okay. Yes, I'm done.
Okay, give me the sentences.
among all the countries, the most successful country in having the highest number of medals is USA.
Very good.
And then the line graph also shows that USA, USSR, and Great Britain are were one of the three topmost countries which has the highest number of medals.
Okay.
And in summary, the line graph shows that USA has the highest number of medals and
Mm-hmm.
Italy has the lowest number of medals.
Very good. So, okay, I would like to correct one thing here. For the second statement that you said, the first and the third statement are very good, very accurate. But for the second one, you stated that USA, USSR, and Great Britain are the countries that have the most medals, right? But
Yes.
see, again, I told you before that you should compare the options or the countries or cities or timelines, whichever the component is. You should compare the ones which are similar to one another, right? But for
Yes.
this, USA and USSR and Great Britain. So USSR and Great Britain are quite similar, you can say. But USA has a very big number of medals compared to the other two, right? So for
Yes.
that, you do not compare USA with these two. Rather, you compare USSR with Great Britain. And you can say that USSR and Great Britain are the have similar numbers of medals, or they have quite the closest number of medals, and they may be the second and third most successful countries in winning uh, a good number of medals, or you can set it up in that way. Okay,
Okay.
clear, clear.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good. So very good. The rest of the statements were very nicely stated, and it was well spoken at the moment. I'm not saying well written. So here, now, this exam skill that you have, I will give this as a homework to you again. This will be
Okay.
on two diagrams. So let's see what it says. Use the information and language from this lesson to answer this writing part one task. You should spend about 20 minutes. Okay, right. When you were writing, when you wrote the last exam skill, did you time it?
Yes,
Was
yes,
it
I did
within
time it.
20 minutes? Very good, very
Yeah,
good. Keep
yeah.
always, whenever you're practicing each of the words and skills and forms of writing or even listening, speaking, you always time it. That will be a very helpful thing for you because whenever you're giving the exam, the time that you're taking at home while practicing, you actually take a bit more time during the exam because that time the situation is different, the environment is different. We panic sometimes, so we take a bit more time. So
Yes.
whenever you're writing, I'll talk about writing because I am teaching you the writing part. So whenever you're writing, if you take 18 minutes writing at home, be sure that you will take 20 minutes when you're writing in the exam hall. So try to complete at least 5 minutes prior to the end time. So try to complete it within 15 minutes so that you have
Oh,
5 minutes extra to revise it, or you just find out if you can add more sentence, or you can remove some sentence, you can edit it. So keep some time in your hand and try to complete it within 15 minutes. That would be helpful for you as well. Okay,
okay.
so for this activity here, the exam skill of our second unit, we have the chart and a graph below, and we have been given information about participants who have entered the Olympics since it began. So what we have to do is we have to summarize the information by selecting and reporting on the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So because we have two diagrams here, two different diagrams stating similar information, not same but similar. So we have to compare at a point. Okay. So keep in mind that you should state the information that are given at first, and then you have to compare the two. Before that, you have to give an introduction about the two diagrams that are given. And lastly, you have to summarize the whole scenario that you just saw from these two diagrams. Okay. So, and try to keep it within 150 words. Do not cross 150 words and don't try to be very less than 150. Try to be within 145 to 150. If it's completely 150, then it's excellent. That's very good. But don't cross 150, okay?
Okay.
Keep that in mind as well. Okay,
Okay.
so that is all for our second unit today. Inshallah, tomorrow at 10 in the morning. Okay, I'll stop sharing it first. So that is,
I need to say something.
yes, give me a moment, dear.
Okay.